3, 2, 1. What's going on, everyone? You're watching Ash on Comics. My name is Ash, and today we are doing Marvel previews. Issue number 25. It's the August edition for September 2019 shipping product. Look at this cover. This has been talked about enough already, but since it's featured here, let's take a look at the new Dawn of X-Men number 1, or as we should say, the Scott Summers clan. It's all the Summers family. Look, we've got Scott Summers himself. We've got his wife, Jean Not Summers. Maybe this is Scott Gray. Maybe this is the Gray clan now. No, she's not Jean Summers. Whatever, but you know what I'm saying. Then we've got his son, right? Then we got his dad. We got Pops over here. And then we've got this. I'm not sure if this is Hope or it's not Rachel. It could be Rachel, but I'm pretty sure it's Hope, which would be his granddaughter. And then I don't know who this Joker in the background is. Someone could clue me in, but it's all the Summers. Oh, and then Wolverine. Maybe we're going to find out. The whole clue of this is that Wolverine is really Scott's great-great-grandfather. Dun, dun, dun! Oh, no! Oh, boy. It's just, what? Oh, and there's Havoc. How would we forget Havoc in the back? Oh, he's dead. That's right. That's so stupid. Surprise! He's not really dead. Joining me, as always, we have Stan, the man, and his pal, and trusty sidekick, and channel mascot, and intern to the channel, Forky. How you doing, Forky? Good to see you. Got a nice big drink for us, as always, Stan. Thanks, man. Appreciate that. Stan is our resident knowledge expert of all things good in comics, right? Hashtag what would Stan do? Stan knows. He's our barometer. Forky is everything trash. He knows trash like no one else, right? He even knows he's not trash anymore, right, buddy? Good job. All right, so we're gonna get this covered. It's a long issue. This is my second time actually recording it. The first time I did it, my battery died, and then I recorded it again without a microphone. The second half without a microphone, and I was like, oh, geez. So this was actually supposed to be up last week. Take 2. All right, here we go. The Amazing Spider-Man Full Circle. What is this? I don't know what this is. It's another Spider-Man book. We shouldn't be surprised. Marvel releases new Spider-Man books pretty much monthly. There's some new thing going on. I was sitting on Discord channel. By the way, we have a Discord channel. You can see the information in the description box. It's kind of right there. I was on with Eric Breen. We were talking about Spider-Man titles for some reason, and I was just like, how many are there? And he was, I'm not really sure. And so we were like, let's sit and tally them. Let's come up with all the ones we can. We were writing them down. And we came up with 14. Now, this was any Spider-Man. The qualifications were it either was just a straight up Spider-Man book, like Amazing Spider-Man. It could be a miniseries or an ongoing series. It had to feature the character. So, sort of like Marvel Team Up would count. If it's a different name, but Spider-Man is the central character, then it's a Spider-Man book. The IDW books also counted, and also the books that weren't really Spider-Man, but they were called Spider-Man anyway, like Superior Spider-Man. It has nothing. It's Dr. Octopus, but they call it Superior Spider-Man. That counts as well. So we went through all the different books. It was like 14 books. It was like, oh my God, it's ridiculous. Also, any books that were within the preview solicits. So books that may not have been out yet counted. So there weren't exactly 14 currently at that moment. There was a couple like coming down the pipe. But this was not one of them. We didn't count Full Circle. So this would make Spider-Man 15. So ridiculous. There was a time when Marvel Comics didn't even publish 15 comics. And I remember actually, was it back in the very, very early 90s when they released McFarlane's Spider-Man book, and that was going to be a fourth Spider-Man title, and the fandom balked at it. We're just like, whoa, time out. We already got 3 Spider-Man books you're publishing, every month. We can't be buying 4 Spider-Man books, People really were like not happy with this. The only reason it got away with it is because it was Todd McFarlane, right? This is the difference between comics then and comics now. Back then, you introduce a 4th comic and fans are like, man, if it wasn't arguably one of the best Spider-Man, most exciting artists ever to do Spider-Man, we would not accept this, but all right. But now Marvel's just like, take this book. We're putting some rich white kid as a writer, son of a director, who's never done anything. You're going to love it. Like the books that have no reason existing. Shitty artists, shitty writers. Just here's another one. And fans are just like, give me more. And then the other fans like me and maybe you, they'd go, stop doing this. And then the previous fans, they start fighting with us and like, shut up. You just don't buy the comic if you're not interested. And we're just like, dude, it's not that simple, right? We want the industry to be healthy. We want comics to be good. We remember what comics were like when it was good, when you could just go to any comic on the rack and pick it up and probably you were getting something good. That you didn't have to sift through mounds and mounds of garbage. Fans weren't just like, don't buy it if you don't like. We want all the comics to be good. All of them. Like, even the ones we don't buy. We want our friends. We want people we just barely know. If you're picking up that book and you're like, I love it, we're going to be like, yeah, great, that's awesome. Now it's just a bunch of infighting. It's so divisive. I think the comic companies do it on purpose. X-Men #1, Dawn of X. Jonathan Hickman. Is that Lionel? I don't know how to pronounce that. Lionel Francis Yu. I'm probably butchering it, so if someone knows, where the comments are. Why are they not using one of the guys from the House of X books? This is not looking exciting to me. But, it's X-Men #1. Oh, God, this cover again. This is supposed to be double page. What's going on? There we go. So this is how you'd be flipping through. Oh, look at Xcalibur #1. Look at this face. Oh my God. Hey kids, this is Psylocke. Do you like what we did with her? Do you remember the hot and sexy Asian ninja assassin chick that everyone loved that Jim Lee created? Well, we got rid of her. Now she's Captain Social Justice, Captain Britain. Let's look at these flowers in her hair. And of course she's got purple hair. It's way more, I know she had purple hair always, I know. But just this rendition, this is, oh God, and look at this stance. Look at this awkward, just like chicken-legged stance. What the hell? Here's the thing, and I'm about to get a little sexist right now. Comics have historically been for boys, right? Boys are into action things. Boys are into fighting. Boys are into war, right? Things like that. So because boys are into these things, boys study on them. They learn about them. They either personally learn how to fight, take martial arts or things like that, actually go to war, join the military, or they just learn about it from other boys who know the authenticity. And boys want authenticity in it. They look at stuff that's not real. And this is why boys grow out of G.I. Joe, right? Because when you're a little kid, little boy, you're like, oh, that's so cool. And then as you get older and realize that it's comic-y goofball war, it's not the, a lot of, some guys stay with it or whatever, but a lot of guys are just like, no, I want more. I want something that's a little rings true, that feels more realistic, believable. This would never fly. Like, guys don't want, guys used to make fun of like Jean-Claude Van Damme, even though he was a big action star. We used to make fun of him because he was a dancer and not a real martial artist, But today, modern comics, we got to make all the women as good as men and better all the time, you're forcing things. Women don't care. Women just want to look and go, oh, she empowered. I feel empowered because look at her, so powerful, and she's a woman, and I have breasts too, so that makes me, I can be powerful. You know, women look at characters differently. They project themselves into the character. Men extrapolate and pull the character into them. It's just different. It's not good or bad. I'm not trying to say women are stupid, and I'm just saying guys like things differently. Guys appreciate things differently. Guys are different, right? Women are beautiful. They're great. They're equally as valuable as humans. They have their strengths and weaknesses, and what women do is compliment men, and vice versa. But when you try to make women always just filling men's shoes, it comes off stupid, especially when you're doing it by people who don't really, that's not what they're into, right? A lot of girls are going to look and just go, oh, that cloak is fabulous. Oh, look at how I could cosplay as, like, they're not looking at it in the same way. Men are looking, when they look at hero, they go, they envision themselves like, oh, I could be a hero like this too. I could save the day. That's, anyways, I went on too long. Here we go. So here's new Xcalibur. Remember the old classic Xcalibur that had Captain Britain formed around it? You had Megan. It was the one by Paul Neary. Was it Paul Neary? Alan Davis? Alan Davis. Alan Moore. Remember those guys? Big legends. Like it's like now it's sister picking up the sword. I don't know. Now she has whatever that. I don't even know. We got Cajun pair over Britain. We got this little Asian thief girl. We got Richter, the gay representation token, and we've got Apocalypse. Apocalypse is now fucking only in modern comics do you make Apocalypse. Apocalypse of all freaking people, a hero. Like remember when we saw in the DC and the Justice League Odyssey, and then they put Darkseid on the. We could do the same thing. House of No Ideas. Hashtag House of No Ideas. Oh, here's Marauders. Here's another one of the Dawn of X books coming out. Marauders #1. So when I started getting into comics back in the mid 80s, one of the early storylines that I most remember across the X-Men in the early 200s was I think it was called Fall of the Mutants. Fall of the Mutants there was a group that I believe, and I get some of this sketchy, so if you're a big X-Men expert and you're listening, some of my facts are a little off. Remember, this was like 25 years ago that I read this. But I believe that the Fall of the Mutants ended up turning out to be a big thing led by Mr. Sinister, and it led into other events years down the road, and blah, blah, blah. But the beginning part were this group called the Marauders were the main villains. And the Marauders slaughtered mutants by the thousands. Slaughtered them. I remember being a kid, I was like 13 or 14 years old reading these books and just being like, holy shit. Like it was like, it's not like, oh, someone just got shot and killed. Like they butchered mutants, like all the Morlocks. There used to be a group of mutants called the Morlocks, and they lived under New York City and all these caves and sewer systems and stuff like that. And they lived by the thousands. Like that's where mutants gathered, the ones that weren't privileged to be X-Men. And they just slaughtered all of them, killed them all, just dead, just wiped them out. The Marauders essentially are like the Nazi SS. Like these are the guys that took the Jews to the camps to get slaughtered. So now fast forward to today, where the X-Men can be viewed as a symbolic metaphor for Jews. Calling themselves Marauders is like a Jewish team of like heroes, I guess, calling themselves the Nazis. Like what? My brain goes into a schism every time I look at this, and I'm like, what the literal F is going on here? And of course, you have villains like Pyro, who we just saw in House of X #2 burning the hero character of the book alive slowly. And then, of course, Emma Frost has always been a villain. But, she was part of the modern era of X-Men where we need to turn all the villains into heroes because we identify with the victims. They're all victims. Oh, and then now we have pirate. Kitty Pryde is a pirate now. We tried to turn her into a ninja. Now she's a pirate. Now she's ninja pirate, Kitty Pryde. And look at how freaking waif-like she is. Does she have any muscles at all? Like, she looks like a 12-year-old girl here. Look at this body. God, this is trash. I have no interest. If you don't respect the material you're working on, then why should readers? Why? Okay, House of X and Powers of X are concluding, of course, because they're weekly books. So it's already going to be over by this stuff. But here we get, oh, geez. It's, you know what? See my reviews. We've talked about these books. There's actually something to be had here. I'm crossing my fingers, being hopeful. True Believers Month features the X-Men, which is cool. There's some good stuff here. This book right here was when Claremont left Uncanny X-Men to go over to Jim Lee's new X-Men and write the first 3 issues before Jim Lee took over. So this was the first Uncanny X-Men in 15, 17 years or however long it was, not to be written by Chris Claremont. And I mean as like permanent. Obviously there was guest fill-in writers here and there if he took a vacation or something, but this was like the beginning of a new era. And guess what they didn't do? Guess what they didn't do? They didn't go, ooh, number 1. They didn't reboot it. The numbering just continued. There it was, 282. Will Sportasio took over, and this was awesome. It was not Claremont, but it was like Claremont. It kept the same cause. It just was awesome. This is how you did it. Stan Lee was still in charge. I think Tom DeFalco might have still been the editor-in-chief. When you've got good leadership at the top and you can take your talent, you can continue greatness, So, then this is one of the great X-Men of all time, right? Days of Future Past. Whew, legendary stuff. I miss it. Notice how all these True Believer books, only one here, Omega Sentinel number 1, only one is in like the modern era. It's like, we don't have good shit for you to read in X-Men except for 25-year-old books. More facsimile editions. And by the way, the word for, I see so many YouTubers calling it like facsimile editions, all weird pronunciations. It's facsimile. This is the word that you get fax, like a fax machine. A fax machine is just short for facsimile. Facsimile means a copy. So, in case you didn't know how to pronounce that word, now it's word of the day with Ash on comics. Amazing Fantasy number 1. So you can pay $5 for your facsimile of a 12-cent comic. But you are getting ripped off here, by the way. I just want to let you know, comics right now are more expensive than they've ever been before. And you say, well, of course it is. It's inflation. Yeah, but inflation doesn't mean things get more expensive. Inflation just means the value of your dollar drops. It buys less. I saw somewhere, I gotta go look this up. I saw somewhere where someone posted, they calculated all the inflation rates of comics over the ages and how things would translate. And like a modern comic, a $3.99 type comic would be actually like $2.25 or $2.50, considering inflation. But of course we pay $3.99, and this isn't even $3.99; it's $4.99. So this 12-cent comic, which would have been translated with inflation to be like $2.25, is actually double that, and you're not having to pay the artist, you're not having to pay, the graphic designers, the layout people that do the designs, the editors, the writers. You're not paying for any. This is just a file that you had on hand and you copied it, sent it to the printer, and charge your fans $4.99, and they buy it by the truckload because your current comics suck balls. And then you get Dan DiDio getting up on stage at Comic-Con and saying how fans are buying more of these books, than the majority of new comics. and something needs to be done. And then, of course, he doesn't do anything. He's DC. What am I doing here? But this is Amazing Fantasy number 15, and you'll never own one. Probably, maybe some of you might, but I'll never own one of these. So there you go. You can get your copy. Here's White Privilege Spider-Man. Oh, Absolute Carnage. Did a review of this, the latest Comics Aficionados, which I was privileged enough to guest host on my channel this past week. You can see it's a stream that we do. We talked about Absolute Carnage along with House of X. This is a fantastic book. Donny Cates and Ryan Stegman are the pair at Marvel right now. Just everything they do is gold. The spin-off stuff, however, I am skipping. I guess if you're a Hulk fan, you're probably going to buy this Immortal Hulk because Al Ewing is doing it. Whatever. I don't care about these goofy spin-offs. I'll be getting Venom because I buy Venom anyway. Venom is the only book. Notice this, by the way. Oh, maybe it's not the only one. It's one of the only ones. Most all of these are new books. It's Absolute Carnage, Lethal Protectors. Absolute Carnage, Miles Morales. It's not a crossover with the actual Miles Morales book. It's a separate book that you got to buy to get the story. It used to be you just crossed over. Now look, Venom. There's no Absolute Carnage Venom book. It's just Venom 19. This is the way it should be done. If you're already buying Venom, like I am, then you're going to get you're going to get the Venom book anyway. It's not adding to your monthly budget. Oh, look, Kyle Hotz is doing the cover here. You know what? If Ryan Stegman can't do Venom, Kyle Hotz should be the guest. I would love to see Kyle Hotz do guest, a fill-in for Stegman. So we do get Amazing Spider-Man, Nick Spencer. Don't know why. Oh, look, it's so cutie. Look, dang it. Mary Jane is getting her own book. I was trying to blow this up. And so we're getting a month long of Mary Jane cover variants. She gets her own book, and she gets all these covers, and like, oh, look at me, I'm getting kissed by Spider-Man. Gag me. Oh, here, Mary Jane right now. It's written by Leah Williams. This book is going to be such hot trash. Oh my gosh. The Amazing Mary Jane. Like, they have to even use Spider-Man to prop her up. Well, of course they have. I mean, she's a Spider-Man character. But I mean, yes, I get that. But you don't see, like, it's not the Amazing Miles Morales Spider-Man, right? We all know of Spider-Man, the number one prefix of Spider-Man is the Amazing. Uncanny is for X-Men, Amazing is for Spider-Man. So when you put Amazing in front of it, it's like, oh, it's that subliminal. Everyone knows that this character would not survive on her own. No one gives two shits about her on her own. We like her because she's Spider-Man's love interest. That's why we like her. That's her value. Oh, that's sexist and misogynist, Ash. No, it's not. These are fictitious characters. I'm not devaluing a real woman. This is a character who has a role to play within a story. Yes, believe it or not, fictitious characters in stories are designed to fill roles. That is all they're used for. They are not real people. They cannot be mistreated. They are tools in every sense of the word. Even Spider-Man is a tool to be used. And here, this tool is being used inappropriately. This tool is being used to push a message. Here's full circle. What is it? Oh, look at all these people. Look at all these people. A summons from S.H.I.E.L.D. leads Peter Parker into a globe-spanning adventure that will test him as never before. Wait, that sounds familiar. I think I saw a movie like that just recently. One in which the future of all mankind lies in his gloved, webbed hands. Wow, that really does sound familiar. Who is the mysterious prisoner in the steel box who keeps propelling the wall crawler onward? What? Mysterious person? Mysterio... What? Nick Spencer and an all-star team of Marvel's biggest writers and artists take up the challenge to create the wildest, maddest, most unconventional, amazing Spider-Man story of all. I was about to say this is an Amazing Spider-Man, but yeah, look, it's the Amazing Spider-Man full circle. It's not even just like Spider-Man full circle. They even put the prefix guest starring Nick Fury. Wait, wasn't Nick Fury guest starring in that new movie too? Wolverine and Peter Porker, the spectacular. Oh, gee, the Peter Porkers. Peter Porker, it's a parody character. He's not supposed to exist in the 616. Dumb. Look at all these people. It's going to be this big mess of people. Oh, gosh. All these. It's just a hodgepodge of stories. This is a one-shot Miles Morales Spider-Man, which is being written by Saladin Ahmed, who is a racist, anti-American bigot. He probably hates you if your skin color is anything less than a deep, deep tan, or if you're a male, or if you like America. Then same goes with Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. Tom Taylor hates. If you voted for Trump, you probably should be sent away to a ghetto to be filed away for re-education and extermination. Tom Taylor doesn't even live in the United States. He's an Aussie with massive Trump derangement syndrome. You want to talk about Trump derangement syndrome is already stupid enough for people that live in the United States where Donald Trump is their president. But for someone who lives like on the complete opposite side of the world, it's like you to be, oh my God, this other country elected someone I hate. It's like, oh, but at least Christos Gage is writing Superior Spider-Man and everyone seems to like it. Ghost Spider, dumbest name. I don't understand. Oh, look at this precious Mary Jane cover. Oh, so look at having ice cream cones. Man, when I was a kid, if I would have saw a cover like this, I'd have just been like, gag, never buy this book. But we are turning boys into girls. And I see shut up, Ash, this is great. Boys can like this stuff too. I can go, okay, I feel that's your cup of tea. Of course you can, because you're raised by women and no father figures in modern society anymore. Here we go. Oh, look, is Mary Jane? Look at Mary Jane's in the cat burglar business too now. You know, Black Cat's arrival. This book is terrible, by the way. Black Cat. Oh, I did a review of #1. Awful. Marvel's Spider-Man Velocity, so a sequel. So the video game PS4 Spider-Man, utterly fantastic. Utterly fantastic. The best rendition of Spider-Man outside the comics, maybe, except for Spider-Man 2. It's phenomenal. I can understand you wanting to like get more story in that world, in that universe, but here's the thing. That world in that universe is supposed to be Marvel Comics. You shouldn't need to base the video game character is licensing the property of Spider-Man to tell the story. And now Marvel character is licensing the video game to tell their character. Like, do you see what I'm saying? Like, Amazing Spider-Man is the authentic Spider-Man. That is the core original. Everything else is a copy. So when you start now copying the copies because no one wants your originals, that just shows how shitty your fucking company is. This should not exist. Okay? This would be like the equivalent of someone writing fan fiction about something. And then a modern pro, coming in and being, oh, I like that fan fiction. I want to now make fan fiction of my own, of your fan fiction. It's like, no. That's not how that works. Anyways, it's Dennis Hopeless. Oh, so Jed McKay, the guy who writes Black Cat, is writing a new Spider-Man comic, Spider-Verse 1 of 6. Written by the guy who writes Black Cat, so this is going to be fucking trash. Nick Spencer, you're going to put it in the middle of his name. Nick, Captain America is a Nazi, Spencer, is doing Amazing Spider-Man 32. Oh, look, Patrick Gleason is finally taken over. And they're giving Ryan Otley, who's put in his dues, they're giving him the shaft. Tough break, Ryan Otley. I like Patrick Gleason. This cover doesn't scream at me at all. He should be doing Superman, but, Bendis screwed that all up. Marvel Zombies. Oh, look! The House of No Ideas is now copying the DC who copied them. It's like, oh, DC's is really popular? Quick! More Marvel Zombies! I just feel bad for fans that eat this shit up. Red Goblin, Red Death. So, would this count as a Spider-Man comic? I think I would. Patrick Gleason. So I guess he's earning a paycheck. Finally, his stuff's coming out. Red Goblin was really popular in, what was it? The Spider-Man 801 he was introduced or whatever. Really popular. And so, of course, what we do is just use him, just use the shit out of him. It's like, make him everyone hate him. Ghost Rider's back. Ed Brisson. Okay. I've never liked Ghost Rider. Look at this freaking terrible cover. Look at how flat this is. I'm just going to stand here, and these chains don't even look like they're wrapped. They're just floating around. Like, God, that's boring and ugly. This at least has some dynamicism. This is classic Ghost Rider artist Mark Texiera, a.k.a. Tex. I don't like the painted version of his. I just want to see his pencils. But, and then we get an actual Ghost Rider cover that looks cool. Look at the dynamicism here. Like bikes flying through the air, chains whipping through, coming off the page. That's how you do a cover, not this. Oh, and look, the actual Ghost Rider comic boxes, they're like $12 a piece. Have better art than the comics. Look at this cover. Marvel Tales Ghost Rider. Ooh, that's a sick cover. Fantastic Four Grand Design. I like the X-Men Grand Design. This is a different guy doing it. From what I hear, he's got full endorsement from Ed Piskor. So Fantastic Four Grand Design sounds like a great idea. Especially for those like me. Excuse me, got the burps, jeez. Those like me that I know about Fantastic Four, but I never was into Fantastic Four, so I don't know all the details of the history. Fantastic Four only really started to appeal to me later as I became an adult. For whatever reason, as a kid, I thought they were like a dorky team. It's like I thought their uniforms looked stupid. The Thing was just a poor man's Hulk. I was like some stretchy guy. Whatever. I was just like, the only guy I thought was cool was Human Torch. It just didn't appeal to me as a kid. But as an adult now, really appreciate the dynamics. I look at them with a totally different eye. So I am kind of interested in that. Oh, shit. Dr. Doom #1. At least there's no Mary Jane cover on this one. But look at this cover. If I can blow it up. Look at that. Man, I don't like to buy comics just because of covers, but that is pretty darn sick. I might have to. Victor Von Doom, scientist, sorcerer, disfigured face, twisted soul, has been spending much of his time warning against $1 trillion global effort to create the first artificial black hole. Wrestling with visions of an entirely different life, a better future, Dr. Doom finds himself at a crossroads. What is he questioning? A catastrophic act of terrorism kills thousands, and the prime suspect is Doom. Doom? Victor will have to push his unexplained thoughts aside and focus on remaining alive as the title of the most wanted man is thrust upon him. Excuse me, time out, excuse me. Remember that comic book, Fantastic Four? It's like the first Marvel comic book. Remember in issue 5 when Dr. Doom appeared? He's been the most wanted Marvel villain since. I know you'd really tried hard to replace him with Thanos, and you're doing a good job now and then, but Dr. Doom is the ultimate bad guy of the Marvel Universe. He's the Lex Luthor of Marvel. He's now discovering he's the most... What the hell bullshit is this? What is this with wrestling with Vision's entirely different life, a better future? Dr. Doom is not a hero. He is not a hero. He wants to take over the world. He's the quintessential megalomaniac villain who thinks he's better than everyone, and he's like, ha ha ha, I will take over the world. Like, that's what Dr. Doom is. And he needs to be nothing else. It was fine when Bendis was doing that whole, I'm going to try to be a different person for my mom and all this stuff and take over Iron Man, be the new Iron Man. It was a neat little miniseries, neat little exploration that ended like shit because Bendis doesn't know how to ever end a story. But I was like, okay, I'll take this. And then somehow you need to revert it at the end that Dr. Doom either was lying the whole time or was being tricked. Something of that matter, had ulterior motives, which he kind of did. But this is just like, this isn't a reformed Dr. Doom. This is literally like, no, Dr. Doom's actually the good guy. He's just a victim in all this.